The shooting happened inside this building, but according to court documents, the suspect actually lives just 0.2 miles away. It's about a 6-minute walk to his house. Ben's father says he grew up in the Richmond area and went to William and Mary for some time, even on their sailing team. He says that it was his love for the water that drew him to Gloucester.
Real talk, real faith.
Francina Harrison and her husband created Building Faith,
Right here live.
a show they broadcast on
Our Facebook page.
They share, talk about religion, and interact with people online.
We never had anyone be ugly, on our broadcast.
No ugliness until March 30th.
Said some other things about the N-word, no one's listening to you N's and you N's, this, that.
Francina says that while her and her husband were talking about faith on Facebook Live, they had no idea that the Virginia Beach Police Department was outside surrounding their home. She says her phone started ringing.
Are you okay? This is Virginia Beach Police. We have a threat against your life. I'm like,
she thought it was a joke.
Open my door like this, and next thing you know, they were like right there.
Guns drawn in her face.
I need somebody set up on the rear of the house.
Those are rifles.
This female was shot in the stomach. It looks like she was shot by her husband.
Someone called police and said Francina's husband shot her. It's called swatting. A prankster calls authorities reporting a fake, dangerous crime that prompts a heavy police response.
I'm glad to know they respond that way. If it was a real threat, I'm feeling good about that, but I thought this was Waco, Texas.
Francina says it was traumatic, and she doesn't know who would be so cruel.
We had to prove who we were. We just felt so vulnerable. Like if this is our home and we weren't safe.
Police say no one's been arrested and say cases like this are extremely rare.
I realize now this could have been a bad scene.
She says they're moving on.
We're going to keep sharing the good news. And to that person who did that thought he stopped us, you made me stronger. Thank you very much.
In Virginia Beach, I'm Margaret Kavanagh, News 3. It's highly competitive to get in. The physical tests are demanding, and the calls they go to are intense.
Generally, we get called out to arrest armed and dangerous subjects.
The FBI has SWAT teams in all 56 offices across the country. And these are the members of the Norfolk office.
Yeah, I love it.
We're not releasing her name to protect her identity for sensitive operations in the future, but she is one of only a handful of female SWAT team members in the FBI.
Which had been my goal since I was 12.
The FBI says this group gets called to deal with barricaded situations, rescue hostages, and can navigate through difficult terrain.
The physical part is a huge aspect. You really have to be able to shoot well.
They're at the range frequently to make sure their shots are on target. And they even let myself and our photographer Langston Reed practice shooting. They allowed News 3 exclusive access to their training.
The tactics is something you can learn, but you do have to be able to make decisions fairly quickly and make the right decisions.
And as for being one of the only females,
I don't know any different. The guys are really good. They treat me just like they treat each other, and they focus on my skill set versus, oh, she's a girl.
Fulfilling her dream.
I get to do what I've always wanted to do, is protect people, and I get to do that every day.
Protecting her community and working with her highly trained teammates to keep Hampton roads safer. I'm Margaret Kavanagh for News 3.
He started to try to kiss me, and I'm like, no, man, like, what are you doing?
Unwanted sexual advances in a hotel room.
That's when he grabbed me by my neck to force me down on the bed.
This survivor didn't want her identity released, but did want to share the experience she says she had with another soldier in her unit.
It was never about sex. It was about power.
She says it happened in 2011 before they were deployed to Iraq. She didn't report it, but confided in a friend who confronted the attacker 2 months later. She says soon superiors started asking questions.
There was an investigation, if you want to call it that. They said everything was going to be confidential. Nothing was confidential.
She says everyone knew, and many didn't believe her.
I was alienated like the whole time we were overseas. The rest of the time that I spent in the National Guard, I was still treated awful.
A new report from 2018 just released from the Pentagon showed there were about 20,000 reports of unwanted sexual contact. That covers everything from groping to rape. That's about the same amount of people that would fill the football stadium at ODU. This survivor says the attack had a profound impact on her life.
I was in a lot of relationships that were not healthy, and I didn't even care that they weren't healthy. I just I don't know, it's like I didn't really care about living. I didn't care about anything.
But life is much different now. She got help and became a mom and went back to school. She says the experience has made her who she is today, stronger and tougher. I'm Margaret Kavanagh for News 3. 2 bedbug outbreaks at Fire Station 5 in the past 9 months.
It's stressful, it's frustrating.
Amy Sneed is the health and safety officer for the Newport News Fire Department. Tonight she took us inside the room where the outbreaks happened, first last May, then again in early December. She explains how they took action.
We've done construction of the bunk room as well. We removed the carpet, put down VC tile down. We took out dividers, wood dividers.
They say professionals treated the area both times. Privacy dividers were removed from the room, and they even brought in a canine to inspect the place after the treatment was completed.
She sniffs out live bugs, so that was interesting to see too.
A bedbug is roughly the size of Lincoln's head on a penny, according to the CDC. They feed off the blood of people and animals while they sleep and can cause allergic reactions. While the cleanup was underway, firefighters operated out of Fire Station 4. The chief said the firehouse just got cleared for use last week. They say they sent out information to educate the crews who were impacted.
You don't want to take this home to your family, and you definitely don't want to take it to the citizens.
They say this has been a learning experience, and there's no way to know where the bed bugs came from, but possibly out on a call.
No matter the call, you're going to do everything you can to help the people in need. It doesn't matter if there's bed bugs there or not, or if we know, if we don't know, we are going to provide as much care as possible to the best of our ability.
In Newport News, I'm Margaret Kavanagh, News 3. The prices are high, $450 for 4 cans of beer. That's one online post. There are other bids and even an empty beer can going for $5. The president of Smartmouth Brewery, Porter Hardy, is overwhelmed by the response his popular Saturday morning beer that was featured on late night talk shows is getting.
A little part of like terror in there because it was so unexpected, but a huge amount of gratitude.
He said people were lined up at 7 a.m. Saturday morning.
So they sold as fast as we could ring people up.
So I was proud of them, but I was like, I don't want to wait in that line.
The crowds were massive and the lines were long on Saturday. The president says that people came from several surrounding states. Today, those crowds are gone and the beer is also gone for now. But the big question is, will he make more?
I don't know. We were just talking about that this morning. I kept saying, let's get through the weekend and see what happens.
I'll get some if they make it again, yeah.
It's definitely not a no, but it's not a yes. It's somewhere in there, yeah.
Lucky Charms lovers wanted to get their hands on an IPA that's described as magically ridiculous, made with pounds of marshmallows. The charm of the beer is definitely striking a nerve with those in the craft brewery community.
I think part of it is certainly the nostalgia of it. I think people also look to craft breweries to be fun. You know, we're not big beer. We can do fun stuff.
Hardy is grateful for the support they've received.
People want to try something interesting from us small guys.
The small guys that are getting a lot of attention.
I'm glad that Norfolk's making their name out there.
In Norfolk, I'm Margaret Kavanagh, News 3. Stopped AJ Buffetti.
I was born without a limb because the umbilical cord got caught up in the arm, which affected development for cells.
The 22-year-old's engineering passion began at a young age building things.
Lego definitely sparked the creativity there.
His creativity was kicked into high gear when he got to use 3D printing machines while studying engineering at TCC. AJ says he had other prosthetic arms. However, he didn't really like the way they fit, so about 9 months ago, he came up with the idea of making his own.
You know, when he came up with the idea, it's like, oh, what a wonderful idea.
Paul Gordy is the TCC engineering program head. After 34 years, he says he's never had a student like AJ.
And one thing I noticed right from the start is he was just pretty fearless and ready to tackle anything. He really didn't seem to view his missing forearm as a limitation.
AJ says he built his own arm using the 3D printer at TCC along with the help from the engineering club president. He says it took a few tries.
They've built all sorts of different, robot parts and devices, but not anything as useful as a prosthetic.
AJ showed News 3 around the classroom and explained how he turned a class project into something very beneficial.
I think it's just life-changing.
An assignment that was life-changing for this young man who has overcome life's obstacles. In Virginia Beach, I'm Margaret Kavanagh, News 3.
Reporter Margaret Kavanagh shows us how they honored their friend.
The group usually practices on Wednesday night, but tonight they came here to the memorial outside of Building 11 to remember a man that they loved.
Well, it's band practice night, and Chris couldn't come to us, so we decided we need to come to Chris.
As the rain came down, the Tidewater Pipes and Drums group played Amazing Grace 12 times, standing around 12 crosses, memorializing the lives lost last Friday and remembering that awful day.
We waited up to hear from Chris because we knew he was in that building.
Tragically, Chris Rapp didn't make it.
It's incredibly sad. I never would have thought. You go to work one day and you don't come home. That's an extraordinary thing. And I wouldn't want to have anybody have to go through that, ever.
Tonight, people came to hear the music and remember the people who were killed.
He had a winning personality. He was not loud or boisterous. He made friends very easily. He actually knew how to play when he walked in the door.
Chris came to Hampton Roads from Richmond.
And he was just an asset, and we're diminished by his loss.
They held an empty spot for Chris tonight and played music that he liked.
I kind of liked how they played The Amazing Grace 12 times.
This group won't be the same and say they'll continue to play for their friend.
And I would imagine, at least for a good long while, we're going to dedicate our performances to Chris.